All right, welcome back. Here we are. It's a Thursday morning, maybe not our typical first Thursday of the month roundtable time, but the very first Thursday of the month, we also had a big event here with the Marketing Unacademy. We had our Love Your Work retreat that happened Monday and Tuesday. We gathered together some of the alumni of our programs, and we had a great time reconnecting, going through workshops, collaborating, getting to know each other. And during that retreat, we had a Love Your Work Impact Award that we gifted to Jackie Turner with the Southwest Initiative Foundation. Jackie has been with the Southwest Initiative Foundation for, I think, about 15 years, but we're going to
20.
hear from her 20 years. We're going to hear from her with her experience and all the things that she's seen and that she's done. And I think it's very appropriate that our title for the roundtable today is Impact, because Jackie, you make an impact in your work. You love the work that you do. Small businesses that you visit, that you work with, we always are hearing great things about you and the support that you're offering them. But I think that's today's conversation: impact that you've seen with your work, impact that you've seen from the small businesses that you work with, how they're impacting their communities, and some stories and some examples.
Yeah. And I think thinking about it, Jackie, one thing I realized through this, that award and thinking through that is that we're kind of in a tribe of entrepreneurs because we're supporting entrepreneurs, but we've all been there ourselves. We've all been an entrepreneur. And I think that does create kind of a strong bond and connection. And you have that in your background. And I'm guessing that informs a lot of your perspective and insights onto what these small business owners are going through every day. So,
Yeah, you can't, you're born an entrepreneur. You can't decide to become one.
interesting.
Either you are or you aren't. And those of us who are, we know it's in our blood. We can't change it.
Well, that's a neat perspective. So what is the indicator that it's in you and you were born with it versus someone trying to become one that really isn't cut out for it? What's the difference?
When you're an entrepreneur, you never stop thinking about it. Like, I'm at a stage of my life where I should be stepping back and I'm thinking about a business that I'm going to create. I mean, you just never stop thinking about it. And the huge perk and benefit of my job is I get to work with entrepreneurs every day. So I get to live through them, and bringing my experience to the table is a game changer, because anyone can pretty much do what I do, but unless you've walked in the shoes that they're walking in, you will never understand it. So you can go to school and you can get a degree in entrepreneurship, and you can start a business because you think it'll be fun, but it's very hard. But if it's not in your blood, you're not going to make it. You're not going to have that passion.
And you come to us so passionately supportive of some of the businesses. What do you see in them that is the indicator that, yeah, they were cut out for this? It's hard, but it's in their blood.
You just know it. I mean, I've worked with, it'd be interesting to know how many businesses I've worked with, because I've been at Swift for 20 years, but 5 years before that, I was with Lyon County as the enterprise facilitator. And before that, I was a business owner. And you just know it. And when I think about all the different people that I've worked with, I would love to count how many people, but I can tell. I can't even explain it. You just know that, yeah, they're going to make it or they're not. And my job is not to tell them either way. I cannot say, yeah, you're going to be great or you're not going to make it. My job is to help them put together the map that they need to follow. And when they follow the map and go through the process, and I tell them this, then they will decide, yes, I know I can do this. I've done my homework. I have my plan. I've got my team. I have my resources. Or they're going to look at it and say, wow, this is not for me. And thank goodness I found out now before I quit my job, borrowed money, and tried to make it work.
So either way, you're doing them a huge service by sorting
Yes.
that out
Yeah.
early.
Yes. Yep. Because when I remember when
Right.
I started my business, I was clueless, but I had a passion, I had a dream, and nothing was going to stop me. And when I think back, I'm scared for me. I'm scared because I just jumped into it, and I was, people were looking at me like I was crazy, and I was looking at them like, why wouldn't you want to do this? It was very interesting on the perspectives of myself and then other people that aren't entrepreneurs. But I wished I would have had someone like me guiding me. I did have help, but I wished I would have had more hands-on help. I would have done things differently. I would have worked smarter, not harder.
Mm. That I have a thought. I know you have questions, but I just brought up, the thought of, I think one unexpected thing that you just touched on, Jackie, is that when you're an entrepreneur, you assume that other people are going to be as excited about your idea. But what you really discover is there's way more skeptics than there are support people, which is why you are such an impactful and important piece of their world, because you're trying to balance out possibly some, I don't know, skepticism, some discouragement they may be getting from other
Right.
parts of their tribe.
And I work with people that I know they're going to make it, but they're going to work. Like, I look at it like, man, you're crazy at this stage of your life. In my mind, I'm like, you're crazy at this stage of your life to be taking this on. And at the same time, I admire them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what I think. I know they're going to do it. And so I'm going to be there to get them what they need to make it as seamless as possible, so that the biggest thing is teaching people to work in their business, or to work on their business. Because I would say 90%, especially in the beginning, all they do is work in the business, but no one is working on it. And that's my job, is to teach them that they need to work on the business, not just in it.
Yeah, wow. There's such a humility in everything you just said, isn't it? Like Gina, we see this all the time. You have so much expertise and so much passion, but you have so much humility too. You don't ever claim to know the answers or tell people what they need to do. You
No?
find a way to guide them with your
Yep.
expertise, but not get in their way or dictate anything. And that's a rare gift. It's difficult to have all of that in one person. So,
Well, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. So I think growing up, I watched, not at an early age, but I watched, at an early age, like my grandparents had businesses, and then my dad had a business. All my siblings have had businesses. My mom always wanted a business, but she couldn't. She had to work and provide the benefits. And now I just feel so bad for her that she didn't get to live her dream, but we all got to live our dream.
aw, that's an interesting story. Wow.
That is an interesting story. I'm
And
wondering, what kind of business would she have wanted to start?
she wanted to be an interior designer.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, she wanted to open up a ceramic shop.
Oh.
And she never, I think this is why I pursued opening a business, is she never enjoyed her jobs.
Mm.
And she was very clear about that. And I remember growing up thinking, I'm never going to get into that situation where I don't like my job. And I did get into that situation where I did not like my job. I was very unhappy. And I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm done. I'm starting my business. And I did. I just did it. Not knowing what to do. I just knew what I wanted to do, and I did it. And I quit my job. And
Classic.
I've never looked back.
Classic.
It is classic. And also, I think that that is like the attribute, right? Like, that's what we hear from our entrepreneurs too. It's that you're right. There's people that are afraid to take the leap. They have no interest on taking the responsibility of owning your small business onto themselves. They don't want to have the fate of other people's careers or jobs and do all the things that it takes. But then there's the people, right? There's the people that are in this community. It's the risk takers, it's the boundary pushers, It's the change makers. It's the people that say, but why wouldn't I take that risk?
Right.
I know what I want to do and what I'm going to do, so why wouldn't I do it?
Right.
And I'm willing to do anything to get it.
Right. That's why I'm so emotional about this work I do. You know, all the people that we have worked with that have gone through startup, whether reinvention or boot camp, I can't help but like have a special feeling for every single one of them. And that's why I just get emotional, because I know how they feel, you know, and when they hurt, I hurt.
I think that's because you understand the purpose of you see that it's not a P&L. It's not a numbers game to them. It's a passion and a purpose and, you know, an impact on their community kind of mission, not necessarily about the finances. That's part of it. But you're coming from a place where you felt that, did that, made life choices on that, and that's what they're doing too.
Right. That's, yep.
When you say that about impact, you made me think, and we see this with our businesses all the time, and the people that are in the marketing and academy community, they're not just business owners. They're not just small business owners. They're doing so much more for their small communities, in their small communities. So a question that I had for you is like the impact that you see some of these small businesses making. You know, can you tell us a little bit about how they're affecting their communities? Because you work in communities in the entire region and businesses throughout this whole region.
I work with businesses in 23 counties. That was very intimidating when I went from one county to 18 counties, then to 23 counties.
Wow.
I wish that business owners, and I wished I would have realized it, no matter what size their business is, I wish that they really appreciated and understood the impact that they're making. It doesn't matter if it's a business that employs a lot of people, or it's one person that is providing a service or a product. And when I was looking back through the businesses that I've worked through, like just from the last few years, and there's this very small community. There's a lake, so it's not up by you guys. It's down in very southwest. So there's a lake down there, so it does draw people, but they had lost their grocery store. The grocery store was closing. They hadn't lost it yet. And there was a gal who was a meat cutter at a grocery store. And she's like, you know what, I'm going to buy that grocery store, and we're going to keep it open. So it never did close. They bought it before it closed. And she came in, and she was just, and it was an expensive project for her, but she was so excited, and she had all these plans, and luckily the owners that she was buying it from were going to work with her in the transition, because that is so important. I met with her pre-loan, and then I was at the loan closing, and then I think I stopped in maybe a month later, and then I didn't see her for about 6 months, maybe 9 months. It was quite a while before I went down there, because they didn't really need our technical assistance that we provide. So I was down that area, I stopped in, and she had lost like 40 pounds. She had lost all this weight. She was sleeping at the store.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was so busy, which was a good thing, because people were so appreciative that she kept it open, and she was good at what she did, but she couldn't afford to, hire enough labor to cover everything. So she was covering a lot of the shifts. She was wearing all the hats, which you are not supposed to do. You've got to build your team and share those hats. But she'd lost all this weight, and she's sleeping there, and she has high school kids that need her at home, and her husband. And I'm just like, man, this woman is dedicated.
Yeah.
And that was probably 5 years ago, and still going strong. She has her health back, and she's got things under transition. But when I think about her dedication and the impact she made on the community to keep that store open, even though I didn't work with her a lot. She was the first person I thought about when you asked that question. And then I think about like businesses that have, like a business that went through startup that was a second generation owner, and that had moved back to the community to keep the business going, that had been there for like, I think 20 years, and just worked her tail off to make that business work for the economy, the community, and ended up relocating the business, taking it from the country to this beautiful site, into the town, and just really changing things. She's the second one that came to mind. And
Yeah.
then not just running the business, but ran for mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured that was a Morgan story.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. And then I think she's on the city council. I know I saw her name again. But those were the two that I immediately thought about. And they're both women. Interestingly enough, they're both women-owned businesses.
No coincidence there, but yeah, Morgan's such a great example because she's just a leader. She's wired to be a leader. She approaches her business that way. She approaches her community involvement as a leader.
Yeah.
I have huge respect for her, and she's definitely someone. If you support Morgan, it's you're making a ripple effect that's really pretty powerful. So
she's also a good example because she recognizes that she also sees it as a responsibility, I think. Like she sees that I'm doing this, we have this opportunity, let's make a difference with it. And that's pretty cool. I think like she's bringing arts to her community, she's supporting artists, she's getting her pottery across. I mean, she takes it to the next level. She's a great example.
Yes. Yep. She would be a great mentor. And now she has a child, so she's even busier. But yeah, so Kelly and Morgan are the two that immediately came to my mind. And I know that there's more, but those two came to the top of my mind. Another one, which I also, when we talked about rebel, risk taker, boundary pusher, and change maker, one person, it fits in all the categories, plus the impact on the community, and that's Nathalie.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nathalie, she had a passion. She worked full-time, social worker, worked full-time, I think she had 3 small children. As a social worker, she saw the need out there for the African community, bringing the products to the community that they lived in. And I know when we first met with her, she'd found a space to put her little grocery store. Well, it was groceries and dry goods. So it's kind of like a general store. And I remember looking at it thinking, oh, there's so much work, and how is she going to find the time? And she just never gave up. Like and if she had a question, she called. If she didn't get an answer, she called again. And she never stopped pushing. And because of that, I think she pivoted twice. Where in the end, she had the mobile kitchen. And then she had the mobile grocery store.
I think she went all 360. I think she went all the way around in circles, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Now she's moved. She doesn't live in the region, but she still owns the business, and she has someone running it. So she left the community for a job opportunity because she had left her social work job to run the business full time, but this opportunity came up that she couldn't pass up, but she didn't want to take away what the niche she had filled in the community. So she has hired someone that is running that business.
Yeah, and talk about impact. She's another example. Her mission's to bridge the gap, and she's living in a community, a very diverse community. And she took the leap. She stepped out, and she worked to educate everybody in her community about different cultures, about bringing people together, having them try new foods, new traditions, and working with kids and adults alike. Like she's a very important part of communities. and the
Yeah.
impact that she had. I mean, city council,
Yeah.
she went for it.
Yeah. And I even think maybe the school board, but I always wondered, where does she get her energy?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing about Natalie, and this happens, I think, sometimes, is someone successfully making an impact like that. By the time you hear the story, maybe it looks like a kind of a, I don't know, glorious path, and but we were in it with when she was in the struggle. You don't get impact without struggle. And those
Right.
years, I think we met her, probably 7 years ago. She was in it. She was in a struggle. It took her so much perseverance to get established because there were so many roadblocks, like left and
Mhm.
right, cultural roadblocks, financial roadblocks, time. And we watched her work through all of that over years. And I think that's the part people don't get to see. They don't
Right.
maybe even appreciate the impact because they don't understand the struggle there was to make that impact.
Right. Right. And that's the rewarding part of our job and the hard part of our jobs. Because
Yeah,
as an
we
entrepreneur, we're all empathetic. And when she was struggling, it made me feel sick because I knew what she could do. she never let it get her down.
she didn't.
And you've been doing this long enough, Jackie, that you know that the roadblocks and the struggles, that's part of it, right? You're not going to get the highs if you don't have the lows. You're not going to, once you get through those roadblocks, it gives you, confidence. You learn from it. You know how to handle the next one. The more roadblocks you run into, the easier they kind of come to navigate. And that was one of my questions that I had for you too, is what are the roadblocks that these small businesses are facing? Or what is it now that maybe it was? Or is it kind of the same for everybody throughout the last 20 years? Like, what are you seeing as the big ones that it's hard for businesses to work through, but that when they do, it's like, now you got this,
Um,
That's a big question. I realize that.
well, first I want to say, when you said that, you've got to have the roadblocks and you have to have your challenges. People don't say this to me too much anymore, but I used to hear this a lot. Like, I'm so scared. They would say,
Mm,
I'm so scared. And my answer was always, if you weren't, I'd be scared for you.
Mm.
That's what's going to drive you. Your fear is going to drive you to succeed. So you always have to be at the top of your game, because people aren't just going to come to you. As you guys both know, you always have to be out there. Here I am. This is what I do. This is what a problem I can solve for you. But the biggest roadblock has never changed: access to capital.
mm,
That is the biggest challenge that businesses have. And the reason they face that is they don't understand, whether if it's a startup or an existing business, they don't understand that you have to have your ducks in order. You have to understand where you're at, what your financial health is. So let's say it's a startup. It's a great plan. I know that they're going to make it, and I'm so excited with them, but they cannot get a loan because they have some problems with their credit. They can't collateralize a loan. There's some type of an issue like that. And would never set anybody up to fail. But if it's a good project and they have shown, we can see by their credit history that they manage their money well, but life has happened,
Mm.
we will do whatever we can to help them get the capital they need without putting themselves or us at risk.
Wow, what a interesting perspective. But life has happened.
There, there's the downfalls of business is like the 3 or 4 Ds: debt, divorce, death. Those are the 3 Ds. Um, Medical is huge. They may have had some medical issues, or a family member had medical issues and they were just having a hard time paying the bills off, and it affected their credit.
mm,
Young people that have taken out, I've seen this, young people that have taken out federal student loans, that may have defaulted on them, we cannot loan to them because our program is a small business administration program, so it's federal money. So if you have defaulted on a federal loan, we cannot lend you federal money. So it's just people not understanding that you can't just go get a loan and open a business. And then maybe you can get a loan, but can you collateralize that loan? And any lender has to, be able to have their loan secure. And another roadblock is, and this is why I work so hard at what I do, is access to resources. Not knowing that there's help out there, not knowing that there's someone who will walk you through the process. When I work with people, they're like, wow, I can't believe that, that you guys do all this. I can't believe that there's all this out there. It's like a lot of people don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly out there talking about what I do. I just spent Tuesday the whole day with a team of other economic development people, and we canvassed the whole county of Renville. Went to every bank, went to every city, and talked about our programs and our resources and how we can work together to help businesses and communities. But still, there's so many people who don't know about the resources that are out there. And if you don't have access to the resources, then you don't have an understanding of what it takes to run a business. Because it's more than opening up your door and saying you're open.
There's such a vulnerability too in admitting that there's areas that you don't even understand. You want to, but to say I want to start a business and admit that I don't know how to read a financial statement is very vulnerable, but it's okay, right? You're saying the resources are out there. We can help with that.
Right. And we always say, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And when I used to do bank visits on a weekly basis for a few years. And the lenders so many times said, oh, I wished I would have known about you guys, or I wished I would have had this information because I had someone come in. They want to start a business. So I told them I need a business plan. I need cash flow projections. And they just looked at me like deer in the headlights, like, and then you're embarrassed, like if you're that person, like putting myself in their shoes, I'm so embarrassed that I just showed to the banker that I'm stupid, that I don't know what to do. So instead of trying to find out, well, how do I get this? I'm just not going to do it.
Yes.
And it was because of those visits that we created 10 steps to starting your business, which is on our website. It's so user friendly. And I tell people, if you follow these steps at the 10th step, you will make a informed decision. Yes, I'm going to go to the bank, or no, this isn't for me. So
that's a great resource. We should put that on our Marketing and Academy page too, just a link to it so more people can see it. So it's just 10 steps on how to, like the business plan, the planning,
the marketing, checking your credit score.
Mm-hmm.
Have you checked your credit score? Have you looked at your credit? Is there anything out there? Just so that they understand that you have to show that you financially can manage your money. That's a big piece of it before anyone's going to lend you any money.
One time we had a event at Workup. We used to have these over lunch, and we'd bring in people to talk, and we brought in a commercial banker. And I said, so tell this room full of entrepreneurs and people, what do you want to hear from them? How can they tell their story in a way that helps you understand what they want to do and support them? And he said, it doesn't matter what they tell me. It's the numbers. It's all it is. It's the numbers. He's like, I can listen to your story, but I'm going to tell you right now, if the numbers aren't there, we're not going to give you a loan. And that was shocking to me a little bit. But also it helps to understand they're not supporting you or supporting you. They're doing a job based on numbers. That's their.
Yep.
So don't be offended. Don't feel bad. Right. Don't read into anything the banker says to you, because that's their job, is not to provide that emotional support and encouragement.
Right.
And maybe some do. God bless them if they do. But if we just go into it knowing that's not their job, we don't expect them to and leave feeling terrible because they didn't say a kind word. And I'm not, it's intimidating. So,
And they can't help it. They have to follow the
mm-hmm,
rules and the
mm-hmm,
guidelines of the bank. That's why that was the reason that we were canvassing Renville County.
mm-hmm,
Because so SWIFT, we are a mission-based lender. We're a character lender. Like I said, we would never set anyone up. If we can see that they cannot manage money, we're not going to say, oh, here's a loan. We're
Yeah.
going to say, get your credit fixed, have an understanding of financially where you need to be, and then come back to us. And they will. They will come back to us a few years later and, I took your advice. I worked with the credit bureau or the credit counseling, and I got everything straightened out. But let's say an example, someone goes to a bank, they have a great plan, but the numbers aren't enough for the bank. The bank will say, call SWIFT. They'll say, call the Regional Development Commission, or talk to the local EDA. And that's another thing that people don't realize that I always tell them is, I always tell people, your first stop, once you've made the decision you're going to do it, that you've done all your homework, is go to your bank. You always want to go to your bank. You always want to talk to your lender. You can come to us. We have a microloan program. We have a business finance program. Find out if you have an economic development authority in your community. And a lot of times they do. And they have funds for small businesses. And then there's the regional development commissions that they cover X amount of counties like we do. So I find out who the regional development commission is in the county of the person I'm talking to. And I say, call Robin or call Dawn or call Michelle. So they understand that you don't have to get the loan from just one place. And we love to partner with banks, and we tell that to the lender. Maybe it's a good project and you can do all of it. I see this a lot. The bank can do the whole project, but it's a first-time business owner. And the bank is like, call Jackie and talk to her about the microloan program. And then they'll have us come in and just do a small part of the loan just to get the financial management and the marketing assistance that we provide. And those are my favorite projects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's intimidating, that financial side. Just yesterday I met with my accountant. I've probably had a business loan for 30 years straight. I don't think I've never not had one, some form of one for 30 years. So you'd think I'd be an expert. And I was at my accountant yesterday and I learned like 3 or 4 things. I was like, wow, how did I go this long without knowing this? So I share that just because you're constantly learning and you can't let that intimidate you, that you don't know things.
See, that's your entrepreneur trait, is you are just like, we're all focused like, this is what I'm going to do. And there's this stuff out here that's like, I need to know this. But you're always thinking, what can I do better? So you can't help it.
Yeah, that's right.
At least you meet with an accountant, so that's good.
Nice job.
Yeah.
So, okay, talking about all of that and talking about Jackie, you're unique because you actually create an emotional connection with these businesses too, right? You listen to the story and you help them find the resources that they're going to need. Like you see if they've got it, and you try to help them. But when people come to you, or if your kids said, Mom, I want to start my own business, what advice would you have for somebody who wants to start their own business? And so many. You've seen so many. I mean, what would be your advice? Like if you were to sit down and say,
my advice is, and my advice comes from my own experience. Talk to other businesses in the industry. Go talk to them. Ask them, why did you do this? What would you have done differently? Do you wish you wouldn't have done it? What changes have you seen in the industry? But talk to people who are already doing what you want to do.
That's really good advice. And especially like today, it's such a simple thing to reach out to people and to find other people that are doing businesses similar to yours.
But people don't do it.
Very rarely. Yeah. So the younger generation, it's impressive because they'll Instagram message somebody and ask them that has a business similar
Yeah.
to theirs too. But that's a really good point, Jackie.
I remember, because I started my business so long ago, driving miles and miles and miles to because I wanted a coffee shop. I thought it'd be fun. I love to cook. I love to serve people. I love to create, you know, bake and back then, I didn't have the internet. I didn't have a cell phone. And I went to Vermilion. Vermilion had a coffee shop that was very successful. I talked to them. I drove over to Clear Lake, South Dakota. I know they had a coffee shop. I talked to boutiques in Marshall. I got the most valuable information out of that, is talking to people that are already doing it. My second piece of advice is ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever worry that you're going to ask a dumb question, because smart people ask dumb questions.
Hmm.
You don't know. I mean, if you
That's a
don't know
bumper sticker right there.
and then utilize the resources that you're getting.
Yeah.
If people are providing you resources, then utilize them, because that's what they're out there for. And then the biggest is do your homework. If I give you homework, if the Small Business Development Center gives you homework, if anyone gives you homework, do it. If you don't do it, you're not going to get a plan. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to have your map. And the worst thing is opening up a business and not being sure. It's like, well, I think I can make it. I think if I bring in this much a day, if I do this many jobs, and then I think my bills are going to be, you're not going to make it, because you're going to have too much clutter and chaos going on in your head, and you're not going to be able to focus on the business. So do your homework, put together a plan. People are like, well, I know what I want to do. It's in my head. Well, you need to write it down or type it, or you need to take it out of your head, because once you start formulating it into words, then you're validating your thoughts. I mean, I do that all the time with just my regular life. If I'm trying to process something and I don't quite understand it, I just write it down. And once I start putting the words down, then I feel more organized. The financial projections, they're hard, but do them. I remember when I worked with the Small Business Development Center, and they're like, well, what time are you going to open? And, I was dumb. Like, well, I'm going to be a business owner, so I'm going to sleep in. I'll open at 9.
Ooh.
Well, what time were people going to be driving by your place to go to work? I'm like, I don't know, 7. Well, then shouldn't you be open at 7? Okay, fine. I'll open at 7. Well, how many cups of coffee are you going to sell between 7 and 8? How many cups of coffee do you need to sell? Are you going to have bacon? And they start asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. How would I know? They're like, well, you need to figure it out. Because if
Take
you
a
can't figure
stab
it out,
at it.
yeah. So don't be intimidated, and just because you write it down doesn't mean it's written in concrete. It will change, because a business plan is a living, breathing document that is going to change every day, and everybody should pull their business plan out at least once a year and look at it, and then revise it, and then a year later, and just make sure that you're keeping your plan going with the way your business is changing. Work with professionals. That's utilizing resources. Work with professionals. Build a team. Work with the Small Business Development Center. Work with us. We work in partnership with the Small Business Development Center. Talk to an accountant. Talk to an attorney. We have a partnership with Legal Corps. So they do not have to be associated with the foundation. Anyone can utilize a free 30-minute consultation with an attorney. All they need to do is go to our website and call me or email me.
Wow.
A big thing is understand who your competition is.
Yes.
Even if you don't think it's your competition, check it out. Because it can be direct competition, it can be indirect competition. But if you don't have an understanding of who it is, that's going to hurt you. And then building your team. And there's like 3 pieces of a business. You have to have the financial a strong understanding of financial management of the business, whether you're using QuickBooks or Wave, or you need to understand the financial piece of your business, the money coming in, the money going out. You need to be able to market your business, to sell your product, and then you need to have the strength in operating the business. So you got financial, marketing, and operations. You cannot do all three. You didn't start your business to be a bookkeeper. I didn't, but guess who did the bookkeeping? Me. Looking back, I wished I would have had help. Because I feel like in my business, I fell into the trap where I was doing what I didn't like, and I was hiring people to do what I loved. So build your team, whether it's a parent, a friend, hiring someone. Don't wear all the hats or you will not make it. You'll wear yourself down and you won't make it.
Sounds easy, right? But we all know how hard that is. There's so many constraints to that. And also we talk ourselves out of thinking that's even possible.
Mm-hmm.
Even though if you really stop and take a step back, you recognize that for the long term, it's essential. But right now it feels impossible. So it's just another hill to climb as an entrepreneur to figure out how to have a team.
Well, and like you said, Jackie, sometimes it takes thinking outside the box. Maybe it's not the traditional way that you think, I need to build my team. I need to do this, do this, do this. But talking to other businesses and utilizing resources, sometimes you find ways that you can gain help and team members in non-traditional ways.
I wanted to add to sorry.
No, go ahead.
I had a couple of things I wanted to add to what you said because you made some good points. Mm-hmm. When you said go talk to other entrepreneurs in the industry, I think what we've seen is there's such an incredible generosity in the entrepreneurs we work with who are more than happy to help people that may call them or ask for help, especially when it comes to their business. They like talking about it.
Absolutely.
I just say that out loud because if you're thinking about it, don't be afraid to reach out to an entrepreneur because it's very likely they would enjoy the conversation with you and help you. Yeah. Very few of them have that competitive kind of protective feeling around their business.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, they have to work. Everybody, I mean, like you said, you put your heart and soul into this and you work so hard and you go through the downs and you go through the ups, and to be able to share that with somebody else or to offer advice or even just to share their story, it feels good. It's like they are getting seen and recognized for it too. And they can probably help somebody. Yeah. When you said that, it made me think about Pugs and how he worked with Mr. Carrion to get started. And he just reached out to him one day and he said, "Hey, come on up. Let's have a meeting." And he was like, "What? Really? That's so cool." Yeah, people want to share their stories and help.
Yep.
They want to help. They're proud of what they've done, and they should be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to switch the topic, so add on to that.
I was just going to say there's a book called The E-Myth, and the consultant with the Small Business Development Center, who was also a worked in the Small Business Management Program at Ridgewater, he always talked about the E-Myth and how every entrepreneur should read that. I will confess I did not read the whole book, but I read the beginning of it, and I was that person. I was that person who did not build my team, who felt like I had to do everything. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, I ended up, just like in this book, it was like they were writing about me. I hired people to do what I loved. And then I did what I didn't like. So the E-Myth, I'm going to promote that.
There you go.
That sounds like a really good story. You were talking about projections. I think I remember talking to you and Greg early about when companies should be doing our programs. Is it before or after they go to SWIFT and secure a loan? And one of the concerns I had is that I think the process of putting together projections and a business plan is really hard and intimidating, especially projections. Like that is, it's like, you don't have a magic ball. You don't even really understand the landscape yet. And I just wanted to add to what you said is that building projections is sort of just an exercise in understanding what's coming. And I remember building projections for workup, and it was very complex, but it feels strange because you're guessing. You're basically guessing. But I think just encouraging entrepreneurs to understand that that is how it feels. You still have to do it. And you can also go back in the next year and change them. And maybe you don't even build the projections in the same manner and measure the same things. Maybe you've tweaked how your revenue is even generated. So it's an intimidating thing because it becomes a spreadsheet that a banker's looking at. But I think just helping entrepreneurs understand that we don't expect it to stay like this for very long.
Right.
You got to get out there and learn some things and then come back and, like you said, take it out, look at it, and rework it if that's what's necessary.
Well, and, since COVID, like the word pivot,
Yeah.
and reinvention, that really COVID gave business owners the opportunity to say, you know what, I can change what I'm doing. Well, I have to change what I'm doing. So instead of throwing in the towel, like, I can't do this anymore, they're like, well, wait a second, I can pivot. I didn't realize I could do that. And there's resources out there to help me, or I can reinvent myself. And that has been life-saving for so many businesses, as you guys know.
Yep. The first gut reaction can be, well, that would be failure. That would be saying to the world, I failed because I have to do it differently now. And what we try to explain is, no, that's not at all what it is. And that's insecurity, saying those things to yourself. But business is business. And if you're not open to change, you probably shouldn't even be in business.
Right. I remember just going back to when I wanted to start my business, and the boring job I was at, the people I worked with just thought I was crazy. And I remember thinking, if it doesn't make it, I didn't fail. I tried. I gave everything I had, and I tried. And I am not going to go to my grave wondering if I could have done it. And that really what drove me is like, if I don't try it, how am I going to know? So it's not failure if you continuously work towards it.
Right. And you have to develop the inner strength to ask for what you need and ask for what you want. Be confident. And even if people in the room that you're asking are rolling their eyes or seeming irritated, you press on, because you're the only one that understands what it's going to take. And so you're the only one that can guide the decisions that need to be made. And I found that can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And when you do it, as you both know, that burden, well, not burden, the responsibility, but it feels like a burden, is all on your shoulders as a business owner. It's your financial stake, it's your reputation, it's your emotional health. I mean, it is scary. But yeah, by reaching out and making the changes you need to make. And if you've done everything you can possibly do, but because of the economy or the way things have changed and how people buy, and if it doesn't make it, if you gave it your all, you did not fail.
Yep. No judgment, right?
Right.
Yep. I'm interested to hear what you think about this point. I think one subtle thing I've learned through doing the programming is that entrepreneurs in small communities especially have to embrace the fact that they are the face of their business, which means they need to get comfortable with visibility. They need to approach their role as a leader. And they're not always used to that because they have maybe been behind the scenes as an employee somewhere. It's not comfortable. And like at our Love Your Work retreat, I think it's clear that what we are trying to do overall is help them get comfortable being the leader and representing themselves as a leader and putting their face in front of the world to say, I did this, I risked this, and I'm in it right now. it's really uncomfortable and vulnerable. But I think you kind of get that started, that whole like feeling of let's build your confidence. You
Yeah.
do that by having information and being informed, but you also just have to recognize that it takes stepping up. And we
Well,
try to
and
do that too.
right. And when you have that emotional support, like if you have someone that's coming in saying, I care, I mean, that just
Yep.
makes such a difference. In my job, I go out, I'm out on the road and I'm meeting with our loan clients. I don't have an agenda when I meet with them. And it's usually just social because we become friends because we've gone through the process together. But just showing up saying, how you doing? How are things going? And not questioning them like, how are your sales? But just, I care means so much to them that they're not alone. Because as a business owner, it's it's lonely. It
Mm-hmm.
is super lonely. You might be surrounded by people, but when you go to bed at night and you close your eyes, everything is going through your mind on the business.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's super lonely. So when you have someone coming in that you've worked with from the beginning, just to, hey, how you doing? Just missed you and I wanted to come and see you. That helps them like to build the confidence. Like, you know what? I am kind of important because Jackie's coming to see me and she's
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
telling me I'm important and I'm great. And I mean it. I sincerely mean it when I'm meeting with people. There's the people that don't want to talk to me and they don't want to see me and they don't have the time for me. And I'm not going to force them to meet with me, but they're the ones who I'm probably going to get a call from a few months down the road saying business is not going the way I thought. I don't understand anything. And it's like, okay, then let's meet. Let's, get this in order. But it's the ones who take the time, even if they're busy. Yeah, great. I haven't seen you for a while. Come on down. So that emotional support is huge.
Right. I wanted to mention something. That's a good segue. You helped New London bring the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities event to New London recently, and we were in attendance, and it was a great event. It was 100 some people like you who are helping entrepreneurs, but I wouldn't say all of them are like you, Jackie, because you're special. But anyway, I went to the closing event where Scott Marquardt, the president now of Swift, spoke and shared. And it made me really understand. I've always felt an alignment between you and you in particular, Jackie, and how we think, but Scott, of course, Diana too, but Scott has been a little more in the trenches with us. And Scott made some really strong points, kind of rallying the group in that room to say, we've got to put the human touch back in the support we're providing entrepreneurs and the work we're doing in our communities. And I challenge all of you to stop emailing and call someone and ask them to eat lunch with you or to
Yeah.
visit. And it was kind of a call to all of us to stop leaning on things like online calculators and submit your PDF kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so grateful and proud in that moment because I believe that is where our alignment is that
Yeah.
we believe that it's a people business, not a numbers business. And you just demonstrate that every single day that's what's necessary and that's what works, is being personally involved,
Yeah.
professionally involved, but I mean as face to
But
face. Call
yeah.
them up, stop by, spend time with them. And that's what we believe as well because we've seen the impact it has.
I was just gonna say that, and isn't that the impact? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's where it goes, and that's the impact that Jackie makes in all these businesses.
So I have one last thing to say that I'm still so surprised by this is like I'll go on a day trip with my husband, like we'll be out on a motorcycle or, we'll be out. And I am just like, I swear every community we drive through, whether it's on a motorcycle, car, snowmobile, I'm like, oh, we have a loan client here. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I work with this person over here. Oh, we got to stop over here. I'm just like, I just like I'm always so surprised at how many people I have had the honor to work with. It's very humbling that the impact that not just me, but Swift, and Swift's mission and the microloan program, the economic development program. I've always said that I have the best job in the world, and it isn't a job because I never consider anything I do as work.
Jackie, though, listen, we see what it takes. I want to say this out loud so any of the people that you work with listening understand. There is a mental energy required to get in the trenches like this with these entrepreneurs. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. There's hard conversations. You have to get alongside them and feel their pain and understand their problems, and it takes a lot of mental and emotional energy. And I just want to recognize that you get in there with them, and it's not just about pointing them to the right thing. You're in it with them, and you're feeling their pain, and you're kind of recognizing the details of it. And we feel it too. I mean, we do the same. And sometimes when we get off a program call, we're both like, we can't even hardly talk to each other because it's like our heads are so full. But we believe in that too, is getting in the trenches with these entrepreneurs. But you having done that for 20 years, I just want to recognize what it took for you to do that. It's almost like you've been your own entrepreneur for 20 years because you've been experiencing it through others. And there's a lot of joy in that, but there's also a lot of heartache. There's a lot of challenge. There's a lot of pain. But 20 years later, here you are. So thank you for that.
So one of my friends not that long ago asked me, I was talking about someplace like, oh, they're having this somewhere and we're going to go. And my friend, and this is a newer friend that I've had within the last 8 years. So she didn't know me, I mean, she just is learning what I do. She's been learning what I do this last 8 years. She goes, how come you know about all these really cool places to go and things to do? Like, how do you know that? And I'm like, my job. Because of my job, I know all the cool things that happen in Southwest Minnesota, and we are so fortunate to have the entrepreneurs that we have that are providing the goods, the services, the entertainment, it's just so rich. I wish everybody knew how rich Southwest Minnesota was.
Have you noticed every time we say something wonderful about Jackie, she turns it into, no, it's about the entrepreneurs.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. I do know what I do is important, but it's about them. That's what I do. It's about them. And, and you guys know how thankful, I mean, what the work that I do with you guys has been a game changer for our loan clients, a game changer. It's just like, I still am like astounded. Yesterday I had a call with another initiative foundation because they're interested in your programming. And I showed them all the businesses that we put through it. And they were like, wow, you've done all that since October of 2020. And then the boot camp. And I'm like, I know, it's a lot. I didn't realize it was that many. I said, and now it's like it's exploded. So as always, thank you guys for what you do, because what you do for our businesses, I don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to do that for them. I have found the best, the cream of the crop.
Well, we appreciate that. It means a lot for you to say that, of all people. And you push them our way, but then you stay in it. You're on our calls. You're at our events. You're still in there. And that's kind of amazing to me that you can manage all that, because when you get off the calls, I know you're off visiting 10 more businesses and recruiting 5 more for another event. So,
well, I feel I'm like lucky, like, I get to go to the retreat. I get to be, like my favorite day is the last day of reinvention. That is my favorite day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the day I pretty much cry the whole way home because I'm so happy and proud.
Isn't that something? Wow. Wow. Well, thank you, Jackie. impact. I feel like we should put a tattoo on your arm or something. I make an impact.
I like that idea.
Yeah. What's the impact Jackie's had on you, Gina?
Well, that's kind of hard to put into words, but I think that watching, like I kind of said this at the event too, but you have a lot of experience, and I respect that you keep it with you and you keep building with it and you reference it and you learn from it and you apply it. You don't tell people what to do, but you offer support and ideas so they can find their own path, and they trust you because of that.
Right.
Because and I just really respect that you see people are on their own journeys. You can bring in your experience and your expertise and your knowledge that and you offer it to them, but you're not forcing them down a way. And I think that that's what makes them feel supported.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I feel like the programs that we have now, at one point were a tiny little startup. And you did for that startup and me what you do for every other business is you got in there with me, you got on board, and then you started to support me. You believed, you cheerleaded, and you did for me and for this program what you do for everyone else. And so you've had an incredible impact, and hopefully we've honored that, and we try to do the work ourselves, pass it along. But I'm the beneficiary of the Jackie magic as well.
Yeah, totally. And you think about it that way, and I mean, the amount of businesses that you've helped grow and the impact that that's had on communities, and I mean, it's just it explodes, Jackie. It's pretty incredible.
The Jackie effect.
The Jackie effect. Now I just have to spread that along to my family.
You have your family listen to this if you think they're not
right.
If you're,
right. But all right. Well, Jackie, we are at our hour. We've got to wrap up. And as always, thank you for your time. We get it. You're busy. You're out there creating impact, and just thank you for the work that you are doing and for the support that you're giving small businesses. Because it's like, we all know that, but it's more than just a small business, and it's more than just a person. It's them. It's their family. It's a community. It's the people that work with them and for them. And as they grow and as they change, I mean, the ripple effect is huge. So thanks for doing what you do and being who you are.
Yep.
It's a pleasure. You're welcome.
Ditto. And thanks for the friendship on top of all that.
Yeah. I know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, guys.
Thanks, Jackie.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Bye.